Welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Valentine's Day. Hey, have a happy Valentine's Day in your day. I'm gonna get ready to be loved, some sweet love by the old cone there, the old grip. Why are you laughing? There's nothing funny about love, especially from my corns. My corns love me. Anyways, with that in mind, get ready to get fucked today, both the upside and the downside, as we do have a couple of big events going on right here. We do have, in a more sincere tone, the Fed meeting a little bit later today, and then, of course, there's war, there's not war, who the hell knows? Hopefully no war, that'd be great. Anyways, it's really sick to see some people cheering on the potential war. I mean, it's like, do you think it's going to be good for you? Anyways, probably not going to be good for the cone, at least in the short term, if anything does come out of that, and the Fed meeting as well. I suspect that the expectation here and what the market's kind of pricing in, especially coming off of last week's rally, is essentially the worst case scenario, as it always is, which is let's raise the rates right now because inflation bad. And well, it is bad, obviously, for, well, it is just generally bad. Anyways, my point is that during this meeting, it really doesn't matter what they do. What it matters is it does matter what they do, but what matters most is the expectations versus the reality. So right now, the expectation is that the Fed is probably going to raise rates immediately or sooner than they were going to begin with, maybe even start curtailing some of the balance sheet as well. Fair enough, definitely possible. So if they do come out of this meeting and it is anything less than that, then I suspect that we actually will see the market react in an upside manner. So in these sort of scenarios, obviously I'm not an insider. I'm not Jerome Powell, nor do I know him, nor do I know anyone around him. So I'm certainly not an insider, and I'm certainly not an insider of the Ukraine-Russia situation. So unless if you are as well, then you are very likely in the same boat as me with very little edge on a day like today. So what I like to do is I'd like to mark off the biggest and most important signal regions that would denote whether I get bullish or bearish, what that means for price action, and they need to be tangible as always. That's how I want to directly differentiate the content on this channel compared to other channels, which is just like always bullish, always bearish. No, I mean, it's a very nuanced situation today, and realistically, until we get this resolution, which we will talk about very specific points here, I would not be having any major calls on price action. We can look at indicators, although I trust them a lot less on a day like today, to kind of get a bit of a bias, but please do understand that dependent upon these situations, markets will move, of course. So with that in mind, wishing you the best as always, if I didn't already, and have some sweet Bitcoin love, some sweet corn love on your Valentine's Day. Anyways, still over here in Dubai, by the way, which I do want to remind people who are trying to get into contact with me. I'm doing my best to get back to you as soon as possible, but connectivity is limited, and we're trying to also enjoy our time as well. So I'll do my best to get back. Anyways, we're actually not going to start off on the Krown trading application today because we're going to tie this into the analysis a little bit later, but I need to construct what's, the whole scenario on price action first and then relate it to this. But what I will let you know is that the premium features are live on the Krown trading application. You can learn more about them in the Learn More tab over here, as you do see on your left-hand screen under the premium section. And then once I do get back to my usual battle station in about a week from, or a little bit less than a week from now, I will be recording a video on it, on what to expect and what it's all about. Or you can just do a little bit of reading right there. All right, sweet. Wasting no more time. Let's get into it right now. And what do we have on Bitcoin over here? Okay, so I want to follow up on the last 2 weeks of price action. Right, we were saying that a bounce out of the $35,000 region was likely, with targets first up to about $41,000, and then second about $45,000. At which point we would be looking for a pullback back down somewhere around low $41,000 territory. That is what I believe we're seeing right now, obviously. And again, please understand that this is dependent upon the situation a little bit later today. But ultimately, the resolution outside of this range very likely does beget our next sort of continuation drive, both to the upside or the downside. Of course, that's why people hate TA. It's like, oh, it can go up or down. Yeah, no shit. It's probability statistics, and that's all that it is, man. And anything can fucking happen. Anything can and will happen. In fact, if you don't think that it can happen, it probably will definitely happen at that point. At least that's my experience with it. Anyways, let me actually, I'm so OCD about this that it needs to be perfect. There we go. Anyways, what are we looking at right here, and how has the picture changed? Picture has not really changed all that much. As far as major tangible areas of resolution that would validate an upside or downside move, it's still $45,000 to the upside versus about $40,000 to the downside. I would actually move the downside resolution a little bit up now to be a little more aggressive with that, as I do think that it is appropriate in this case, to about 40,400 specifically. Why Why is it that number? That's actually coming in from our CME gap from 2 Fridays ago. Closing below there would be, not just a range resolution, but that's the mark kind of saying, we have confidence that very likely going to reduce, or sorry, not reduce, but retrace by reducing price and retracing the majority of this rally back down to the mid $30,000 territory if that were to happen. Until then, I actually do think that there are more signals of upside here than downside. But does Bitcoin first, maybe even come back down and close that gap somewhere just around 41 or 40,500ish region? Definitely possible. That doesn't really do anything for me though. I need to see a range resolution with a daily closure below 40,400. Or is it 40,300? It's like 40,400 or a 4-hour closure. Where would it be below? Below about, in this case, I'd say about 39,600 on CME or 39,500 on spot price action, I do suspect. So until we get one of those two things, or one of those three things, I would not be calling any sort of range resolutions. There is, however, something very relevant to the short-term timeframes over here that we spoke about on yesterday's video, which is still relevant here, and it does still have a chance to get ticked off, perhaps today, in fact, very likely today, if it is going to happen. And that would be, instead of waiting for a move above $45,000, which is obviously, the more prominent and I'd say highly or more statistically relevant range resolution for targets back up towards, $48,000 to $50,000, or it's more like $48,000 to $52,000 now. Just basically anywhere around. And where am I getting this from? I'm getting this from a 618 Fibonacci bearish retracement, by the way, here on the macro ranges, which has been working incredibly well thus far. That'd be anywhere right around there. And that also is around the 200 simple on the daily as well. So even getting above there, however, that is not going to make me macro bullish on this asset, nor macro bearish. Obviously, I look at this as a macro consolidation above about $50,000 on a daily closure. Yeah, that would make me macro bullish for moves into the very deep 50s, probably up to 60. By the same token, if Bitcoin does move to the downside and validate the downside criteria, I actually do think that downside is a bit limited from where we're at right now, simply because of this, simply because of the open interest reads over here. Again, I'll get into the indicators soon enough as to why, if I was just going off of indicators, I would say that there's a higher probability of upside. And personally speaking, I think it's a little more relevant as well. But hey, we have a situation coming up a little bit later today. Anyways, why am I relating it to the global open interest? Simply because the global open interest is not at a critical read where I'd be very I guess anticipatory of, I don't even know what that word is, basically anticipating or looking at it as reasonable. Yes, a reasonable move to the downside of, a big one in this case. So we only got up to about just over 12 billion on that last high at $45,000. I don't look at that as a critical read. I look at critical reads as at least above 13 billion, and the higher, the more catastrophic the resolution of it is. For example, on our last all-time high at $69,000, we saw the highest, open interest reads at, I think it was like 16.5 billion, that is, and that produced, our current move down from 69 to about 35 low, which is kind of big. And then of course the more recent one we did see over here, or sorry, we can just pick out a few of them, but basically these ones that are just over 13 billion, that is, not 13,000, we do see about a 20% move to the downside. For example, that September move, this little correction over here in March, and this more recent one that we saw in late December as well. So in this case, I don't see a critical read over here, so I do think that downside is a bit limited. I think at worst Bitcoin retests somewhere around like 35-ish, let's call it. If Bitcoin does initiate the downside resolution, at that point I'd probably be looking for another bounce from there, and then that bounce, after that bounce, if Bitcoin's going to break down, that's where I'd really be looking for it to do it, but not like on a straight move. For example, I think it'd be like a low first, bounce up to like 40, and then reject, and then come back down if that were to happen. Anyways, okay, so why do I think that there's a bit of a higher probability of upside resolution here compared to downside resolution based off of indicators alone? Well, if we go into our indicator tabs over here, we do see one, volatility is very, very low. We do see 2, Bitcoin is still above, or sorry, not still above, but it's dancing around the 55. But more importantly, it does have a bit of a crown cross situation going on right here. 3, we do see 4-hour will have regular bullish divergence with a confirmed local low, which we do not have just yet. It actually won't confirm a local low until Bitcoin's above about 42,600 on a closing basis. Personally speaking, though, I do think that yesterday's hourly range resolution is going to be more important. At above about $43,000. Above there, I do look at this as a range resolution. Bitcoin very likely trades up short term, as we identified yesterday, something like this, back up somewhere between the 0.5 and the 618, probably closer to the 618 in the shallow $44,000 region. After that, I'd be looking for a short-term pullback back down maybe to like the mid 43s, and then very likely like a full-on move in a range resolution to the upside, again contingent upon the 4-hour closure above above $45,000. But it would set into what's it called? It's set into a like a domino of effects, a bunch of things. So if we start from low to high, we got hourly regular bullish divergence, many drives coming off the lows. We got hourly jewel upside momentum alongside volatility, looking like it wants to expand from the lows here. And again, when we go to the 4-hour, that that looks a lot more prominent. Bi-hourly also has regular bullish divergence. 3-hour does not have regular bullish divergence. 4-hour will have upon validation of a short-term low. What I'd really like to see, however, and would make me a lot more confident, is a 4-hour jewel signal to the upside. Again, we don't have a reverse function for this yet. It's actually being worked on. The geniuses at our headquarters, Mr. Caretaker and Mr. Mordfall, are working on a solution for that. It's going to take time, obviously, but it is actually under the way. But they actually figured out a really genius solution to it. It's going to take some time, naturally speaking. So if that does start to turn cyan again, in fact, the next tick on that one that actually turns a solid color alongside volatility expanding from these lows, very likely is going to be the range resolution. Just personally speaking, 6-hour, do we see anything obvious over here? No, not really, but just kind of bouncing off of the bearish control zone on 6-hour RSI. And 6-hour jewel has come down and kind of reset. I wouldn't say fully, but very, very very aggressively there. 12-hour will also have hidden bullish divergence if it does confirm a local low here. How would it do that? Well, that would be the relevancy of the $43,000 region. Even on an hourly, I do think that it would lead up, and then it would be a natural target back up, into the mid to low $44,000 territory. From there, it probably gets continuation. To take it a couple steps further, let's go on over here and check out our stochastic momentum oscillators, of which that we do have a reverse function for this. 4-hour stochastic momentum to the upside as long as we're above 42,100. Currently $200 above there right now, with 3 minutes left to go in the trading session for that closure. 3-hour is going to be doing what? Is going to be short-term corrective, yes. We'll turn back up above 42,300 or so, which Bitcoin is pretty much at right now. Interesting. Bi-hourly is doing what? Is freshly crossing up above 42. Again, closing in about 2 minutes and 42 seconds. Hourly is, I'm going to guess, up. Let's just double check. Maybe we load it. Come on, baby, there it is, 41,670, beautiful. And the 6-hour, as we identified yesterday, is also getting ready for an upside cross above 41.9, which Bitcoin's currently trading about $400 above right now. The 12-hour has corrected quite a fair bit. We'll turn back up above 43,400. So naturally, if we do see the short-term time frame resolution above, with an hourly above 43, that will lead on into this. And the daily is still coming down pretty hard. So that does deserve to be known. And of course, with the daily on that topic, remember, we do still have, or actually we do not have, wow, I'm glad I checked this out. So the hidden bearish divergence call that we identified over the weekend, that was not confirmed, actually. Okay, yeah, I guess it wasn't confirmed. I guess it will be confirmed with any sort of a closure below about 41, probably like 41.3, 41.4 region on a daily, but for right now, yeah, actually not confirmed right there. So that was a little bit of a surprise. And then also, I'll just briefly go through this. I don't want to make this too long, but basically on the 3-day time frame right here, we do have 3 indicators that, when combined with each other, have been pretty good historically speaking. Starts with the 3-day MACD getting across the upside. By the way, we're crossing to the upside in the same fashion that we saw in the July bear trap, coming off of this low from 30,000 all the way to $69,000 right here. You will notice that the MACD does have a reverse function and will be remaining with upside posturing as long as Bitcoin's above 38,800. And just blindly playing the 3-day MACD has actually been, pretty damn good, to be fair. We can put on some of our drawing tools right here, and you can see from the green vertical lines, all of which are actually not 3-day MACD across the upside. They're actually the PMRs, but they do correlate very, very well, to be fair. Were some nice upside moves. All of them in the last couple years, except for except for, where is it? It's this one right here, yeah, from October 2019. And yeah, we definitely did get a cross up right there. The next portion of that is just simply getting above the white 20 simple on this chart. So I'm talking about the white moving average right here, alongside that 3-day MACD cross. So again, where let's just give a couple of iterations right here. The last time we saw it cross the upside right here was in early October. Again, MACD cross the upside right there. Bitcoin reclaims the white 20 simple, and boom, from 47 to like 69 in the next like month or so. So again, it takes a long time. The time before that was, of course, coming off of the bear trap in July. Reclaims the 20 simple right here. Boom, off to the races until $53,000 or so. Not bad. The next one that we see, or where do we see? I want to see a reclaim of the 20 simple plus a MACD 3-day clock. Yeah. So here we go in early October right here. Obviously, Bitcoin reclaims the 20 simple right there. Boom, off to the races from about 11,000 to 20,000, I mean, beyond. And then the third one, and what actually does correlate to these green vertical bars, although they do closely follow the MACD crosses as well, is just simply this on the PMAR, where the PMAR gets above the moving average on it. That's it. I mean, that's basically it. It's quite literally that simple. Where we have seen, well, again, you can kind of visualize all of these green vertical bars yourself, but realistically, all but one, which one of them was a complete and utter failure, by the way, complete and utter failure, would have been a terrible, maybe even career-ending long signal. Well, perhaps not, but, you know, pause for a dramatic effect. But overall, you know, these were pretty damn good signals. You know, usually to the tune of, as we measured out yesterday, you know, I think it was like 50 to 60%, which, just out of curiosity, what would that look like on a current price action? So yeah, 60% puts us up at around the target for a macro range resolution above about, what was it, $50,000 on a daily, which would be like 60-ish, let's say. So still definitely possible here. And again, if Bitcoin does choose the downside route, I do think that it's kind of limited to like 35-ish, let's call it. But Bitcoin very likely would bounce from there. And then on the failure of that bounce, that's where I'd be really looking for it to come down hard into the macro range lows at like, you know, $29,000 to $30,000, and then perhaps give another anemic bounce and then maybe break down over a longer period of time. But I think that's going to do it for right now. A nice and short and sweet video. Again, TA kind of goes out the wayside in these times. And the real value in it is simply just finding, you know, the major pivots as to what they would mean and what they would likely imply. Until then, you know, anything between them doesn't really mean all that much, at least in my opinion. And well, happy trading and enjoy the volatility later today. With that said, take care, and I will see you in the next one.